Vision Tech Perspectives. This is Dave Swain with Vision Technology Management, and as usual, my co-host Doug Johnson. Doug, how you doing today?
Dave, I'm doing great. Appreciate being back.
Fantastic. We have a gentleman with us, Francisco, with Helios. Helios is using AI quite a bit, so I think we have kind of a subject matter expert that we're going to take advantage of him. So, Francisco, welcome to the program.
Yeah, it's great to be here. Thanks, Dave. Thanks, Doug. I'm Francisco. I'm the CEO of Helios Artificial Intelligence. We've built basically the best platform in the world to predict the price and availability of ag commodities. We cover, 65 commodities now across 85 countries. It's pretty awesome. We've predicted 90% of all the disruptions that have occurred in these commodities over the last 10 years. And we forecast the prices of these up to 560% better than the industry average.
Yeah, that AI tech space where it's going. I do have a question for you, and I learned recently. So when I'm using like ChatGPT or Copilot, the accuracy of the answers, is questionable for me. But then someone said, but you're using the free version. There are levels that you can pay, and the higher you pay, the more accurate and the more detailed information you get. Can you shed light on that as well?
Yeah, I don't think that's true. I mean, I don't work at OpenAI, but from the way I understand it and how we use it and what we've heard, Sam Altman say publicly, what I think is definitely true is the more you pay, you can create almost custom GPTs that are specific to you. And so you could say, one GPT is just like a custom version of OpenAI or ChatGPT for you. And one could be, here is my crop consultant GPT. Here is my, vacation consultant. I'll tell you we have 3 different analyses going on right now. What is the, custom GPT? What's the impact of kind of climate change on food inflation? I have another one that says, we're a small team, we're 15 people, we're all over the world. I said, can you help me plan an itinerary and cost out flights and buses and hotels and all that for all of us to get together? Wonderful job, right? Doing that at the same time. And then we have an 8-week-old baby, and so we ask it a bunch of questions about the 8-week-old. But it's interesting, right? Because what is really fascinating is that you can put in the context, right? Hey, I have an 8-week-old baby, blah, 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 blah. Hey, here are the 15 people that work at my company. Here's where they're located. Hey, here's access to all of our climate data. What I find both really exciting and kind of terrifying is that it's the same platform, right? That is giving you 3 totally different insights, totally different tasks. That is, to me, so remarkable.
Sorry. So to that, when Doug talks about, free tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 type of payment schedules, to go along with that customization like you were describing, would it also enable a broader data access? So rather than, and I'm going to just use this as a generality example. So the free version, I'm scraping off of LinkedIn and Meta. Tier 1, I'm scraping off of LinkedIn, Meta, and now it's giving me Zoom info.
Yeah.
So now I've got a more of a privatized type of database that I'm pulling that the other 2 didn't enable me. So would that be something that would do as well, or is this wide open?
You can do it now. Yeah, it's really interesting. So you can hook up for your, I don't know if it's the enterprise level or just the $20 a month level. You can hook up ChatGPT into your HubSpot, your LinkedIn, your Gmail. You can hook it up to your particular server, so we can put it over our own proprietary data and our proprietary servers to create insights using that. And that's hyper custom to you, right? Like
Yes.
your HubSpot information is really valuable. And to be able to have this incredibly intelligent AI analyst doing all these reports, spitting at, where are we? What does it look like? What are the trends that you're missing?
I'm concerned with is that I use HubSpot. So there's my first fear.
I mean, they're so large now. It's like we're using that, or there's not that many others.
Them and Salesforce is, those are the two big ones right now. So I'm sorry, I'm kidding. But it was just I was laughing because you're talking about that. I'm going, now how does he know I have HubSpot?
It is, yeah.
So, Doug, what other questions have you got?
Well, Francisco, this number one has been so educational for me because I am the big guy, and you've really made me think probably broader on the benefits of it. Again, I don't have the bunker, but I definitely was not flying the AI flag yet. Still not. So 5 year, where do you see AI going consumer, and where do you see socially, and where do you see AI driving ag tech?
Yeah. I think for the consumer, and I think about this a lot, right? We have a 4-year-old and an 8-week-old. I'm not sure how I feel about this, but where we're likely going is everybody is going to end up with their own AI agent. So instead of a cell phone, you're just going to have a custom model or a custom GPT, whatever we want to call it, that basically knows everything about you, right? Your health records, your education, your likes, dislikes, how you slept, all that stuff, right? I mean, we're collecting all of this data already. And if that is the case, and that I do think that is where we're going, the possibilities are really endless, right? You could have custom education, custom entertainment, custom whatever, hyper personalized to who you are. To our earlier conversation, what does that mean for our children? Are you just becoming a lot dumber?
Sure.
Probably, at least in the short term, right? Because suddenly you're relying on basically an outside brain to do a lot of that work that we're doing day to day. But I don't see how we don't get there in the next few years, right? I mean, phones are already so ubiquitous, right? I think the biggest evolution was, you guys remember what was it called? The pod? What was the music thing that Apple came out with? iPod, yeah. And they cannibalized their business with the iPhone, right? It was incredible. And now you put everything on your phone, your health data, you're just going to put AI above that. It doesn't look like Apple's going to win that race because their AI is absolute garbage. But I think that is definitely where we're going to end up. And a lot of complications, right? Really positive stuff, kind of quite scary stuff. In ag tech, I'm actually really excited about AI and ag tech. I think I'm a real optimist in terms of how, listen, there are more disruptions today than ever before, right? Our food supply chains are having huge issues, right? Independent of the tariffs, everyone we talk to who sources globally is feeling the pain. You're seeing the price volatility. You've had suppliers that you can trust, that you've had relationships with for 10 years that are no longer reliable, not because they've changed who they are, but because climate is just not as reliable as it used to be. But you are also having this wonderful explosion of tools at scale at relatively low cost that can tell you a lot of the issues that you're missing before. Are you overwatering? Are you underwatering? Are you over-fertilizing? Are you under-fertilizing? Are you seeing a little bit of fungus? Are you not? That makes a huge difference to be able to have that data, but also now to have kind of artificial intelligence over that data and give you much better recommendations than before. And Doug, to your point, you can keep training it. Hey, I know you're telling me I have to put in this fertilizer, but you're just wrong. You should not put in this particular amount. Here are the reasons why.
So are we going to go the way of instead of bigger is better? Or are we going to go the way on autonomous tractors, self-driving, self-guided bots? Dave, remember we did, I think, a podcast where we just put up all these little bots on a flatbed. You're going to drop off the little micro machines and just let them go through all your fields. Are we going? Is that real?
We're there. And the reason why I say we're there is a few weeks ago, my wife and I were driving home from dinner on a Friday night. It's at dusk, and we're driving along a highway, and all of a sudden, my wife is like, "What is that?" And I looked over, and I knew the company, but here is a bot that is running 24/7. It runs off of battery. It has solar panels on the top of it, and it just keeps going.
Yeah.
And so that's where we are there. We're not going. We are there. Now the question is how big is that going to be? Are we still going to have huge pieces of equipment, or is it going to be smaller?
Well, and the cost, right? I think that, I mean, this is
that's the ultimate sustainability is economics.
Yeah, but drones are a really good example of this, right? I mean, we the United States, right, have, I think, still today the best drone technology in the world, especially in the Department of Defense. Whatever, we have our Reaper drones; they're incredibly expensive. The war in Ukraine, you're using these like relatively cheap, Turkish-made, Chinese-made drones that you can get for a couple $100s. That have all of the technology that are multi-million-dollar drones, within reason, right? Yes, we have more sensors and blah, blah, blah. But what's been exciting to see that is you're going to see the same thing in ag. So maybe right now this bot is, I don't know, $500,000, and it's kind of expensive and a little clunky. In 2 years, maybe it's $100,000. In 3 or 4 years, maybe it's $50,000. Maybe you get to the point where like you're bringing some of that drone technology, and you're now able to have these autonomous drones that are doing, cost you a couple $100s for each drone, and then you're using the ChatGPT or an open source over them. That is where it gets really exciting, because then you don't, maybe, right? I mean, you guys know this better than we do, right? But maybe then you don't need these crazy economies of scale, and you can have a better life as a smaller farmer, right? I mean, we have a lot of relationships with smaller farmers. It's brutal, right? I mean, everything has to be perfect, and you make a few points. Anything goes wrong, and you're in the red.
Well, and let's throw two things at that. You've driven another question here. Okay, timing on the markets is everything for a farmer. When I sell, 2 cents. My standing joke is 2 cents makes all the difference in the world of whether mom's going to have a new van this year or not.
Yeah.
But let's look at even what you guys are doing at Helios with markets and supplies and all of those things. Are we going to get to a point where XYZ farmer is going to be able to look at, I mean, farmers, at least North America farmers, I'll go with what I know here. Sometimes I think we're too good at what we do. And the reason I say that is we're going to have another huge surplus of grain this year, and it just put a kibosh on the markets. WASD just came out and it took a hit. So are we going to be looking at farmers using AI to say, you know what, here's what the projections are because of all of the data that you've talked about today, the tool that you are producing today, to say, you know what, I'm not producing 1,000 acres, I'm just 1,000 acres of corn. I'm going to produce 750 acres of corn, because if I do that, now I help ensure that my markets are going to be solid and I can be profitable this year. Because again, sustainability first and foremost is about profitability, because if I can't pay for it, I can't do it.
Yeah. I completely agree. And my hope, right? We really believe in the democratization of these types of insights and data. It is core to why we started the company. We started like $299 a month. I mean, because we want people to have access to the same data that a Cargill has. And AI is really good at doing that. And so, yeah, my hope is one day all farmers in America are having, have the same access to really good price forecasts. And, Cargill's always going to have a little bit of proprietary data because,
Sure.
and that's okay. But then it's not a 4x difference. Maybe it's a 1 or 2x difference. And, every little bit of improvement makes a huge difference for these folks.
Sure.
That, I think, is where it gets really exciting, where can you start competing because hardware gets a lot cheaper and technology becomes a lot more accessible. And now you have access to not the same, but as close as we can possibly get the same type of price forecasting data. You can understand what's going on in Brazil. As you're thinking of your own planting, you can understand what's going on, in Egypt or Serbia or Spain. That to me is really exciting.
Well, it's to your drone example. The drone, we can buy a $5,000 drone, a $10,000 drone, a $50,000 drone. It's still not going to have all the technology that a military drone has because of, like you said, the Cargills of the world have their own secret sauce, just like the military does.
Yeah, but you might not think of how much better that drone is today than it was 3 years ago.
Oh, and that's the point, is we're so much better than we were before. But here's the other question. Let's this is where it becomes very near and dear to my heart, because this is why I started my business. Okay, so we have this. We have all this data. We have all this information. Are they going to actually use it? Because most of the technology, phones included. I mean, that's where I base all of, my conversations with people. Okay, I have my phone and I use 20% of it.
Yep.
I do not truly get the return on my investment, because make a call, take a call is probably the most important part of why I have that phone. But it can do so many more things. Are we in the same boat? Let's look at that bell curve again. Yeah, the early guys are always going to use it. They love that stuff. They're going to use it. They're going to make the most out of it. Earlier guys, they're going to, eventually, and of course the back end guys, none of them are going to use it because this is the way we've always done it. I still have my landline type of thing. But I'll use Doug, because he said it a couple of times. Even though he's from Omaha, Nebraska, at some point in time, he is from Missouri, because he's going to say, show me.
Yeah.
And that's where a lot of us are, is show me why it's to my advantage to enable an AI tool to access my data to help me make that decision. And then how do I implement that into my business?
Yeah. And I think there's been a lot of broken promises.
A lot.
Startups going into farmers, right? Give us your data, we'll get you the access you need, and then they end up flipping the company to John Deere, and
or they're just gone altogether.
I completely agree. I think it's two things that will affect that change. One, you're going to start to see more and more of your peers use it, and it'll be effective for them. But the second part is you'll finally have control of the data. So typically, right, for all this software stuff, right, you get, you spend a few $1,000s on your drones, they're uploading all this information, it goes to whatever software platform you're paying for. A lot of them are kind of garbage. Let's be honest, they don't look good, they're difficult to work through. User experience is just awful. But you could do it today, right? And there's still some technical issues, but like we're getting there really fast. You could just put ChatGPT above that drone data for free. $20 a month or whatever it is, right? And then you could start asking it questions like, what should I be worried about? How are we looking? What are your recommendations? And it'll get it wrong. And then you start training it. But that's totally different than it would have been even 2 years ago, where you're locked into this piece of hardware, and you can only use the software that's tied to the hardware, even if you don't like it. And if you want other types of insights, well, good luck, right? Because this is your software interface. And if you want to change it, get in line. That's over, right? The fact that you can converse in natural language with these different AI agents and models is, to me, what is the most transformative part of all of it, because it makes it accessible to everybody who speaks, and everybody who knows how to read and write, if you will, right? Which basically everybody, at least in the United States. And that's huge. That is one of the things that I get really excited about, where that's where we could land. And then you're not depending on that random startup that stolen your data or flipped it or just gone bankrupt, right?
This has been incredibly powerful, especially when you think about the Apple Watch gathering the information, the sleep, and all that. You took me in places I never thought this probably could go, which is great and a little bit, nerve-wracking all at the same time.
Yeah.
Completely
It's
overwhelmed.
been a real pleasure, guys. Thank you so much for having me on the show.
Well, again, if you would, what is Helios? So give you the plug opportunity for a plug. Shameless plug.
Yeah, thank you. We listen, at the end of the day, what we do is we predict the price and availability of agricultural commodities better than anyone in the world. We work almost exclusively with procurement teams across the value chain. So if you're buying and selling commodities, we're here for you. That's all we do. And we do 64 commodities across 85 countries, which no one else does. And so it really will help you understand where prices are likely to go better than anyone else in the industry. We'll help you understand where you're going to have availability concerns. And we make it widely available. Our starting price point is $2.99 a month. And that's important to us because we really want to make it available to even the smallest business that has a need for this type of insight. My favorite example is we work with Libby's. They buy and sell a ton of pineapples and mandarins. We save them 15% on their global price for mandarin.
Wow.
When all these businesses are relatively low margin, it makes a huge difference for our customers.
And this is all crops, not livestock.
Yeah, all crops, and we're expanding into protein in the next few months. So we'll start doing livestock. And
well, thank you very much for your time. This has been a lot of fun. I'm gonna have to go back and re-listen to this like 500 times to really comprehend what we've talked about. But it was fantastic. Thank you very much, much for your time.
Doug. It's been such a pleasure.
Everybody, thank you for your time to listen to this. I hope you got as much out of it as we did. As always, I like to leave with kind of a tagline that I've used over the years is you must be strategic in your thinking, develop the tactics to accomplish your goals, and intentional in your actions to be successful. Everybody, thank you again for your time. We look forward to the next time we have this kind of a conversation, and we'll go from there. Have a great day. Thank you.